Now look at this, boys. Ampere's circuitry law is similar to that of your Gauss's law. Now, what is Gauss's theorem? Suppose if I have a line, right, a straight wire carrying a current, or we can say a positive charge is uniformly distributed along a straight, infinitely long wire. Then, if now current carrying this charge produces electric field. Suppose if I want to find the strength of the electric field at the point P, which is at a distance r from the straight line charge, then what we used to do is construct a Gaussian surface. First, because if you understand this properly, it will be easy for you to understand Ampere's circuit law. When I have a line charge, not necessarily a line charge, can be a thin sheet which is completely charged. Or here I'm taking example of a line charge, but the positive charge is uniformly distributed over the line. This line charge is going to create
Ma'am, your voice is breaking.
even now. One
Yes,
second.
ma'am.
Ma'am, like we can't hear you properly. Like you just you're saying one word then breaks and again just continuous breaks.
Yes, anyway. Okay. Fine. Now, if I want to find the strength of the magnetic field at point P, which is at a distance of r from the line charge, I have to construct what we call it as a Gaussian surface. I have to construct what we call it as a Gaussian surface. Now, this Gaussian surface should pass through the point P, and then it should enclose the charge. This is what we did in Gauss's theorem. If you want to find the strength of the electric field at a given point, we construct Gaussian surface. That Gaussian surface should pass to the point P where you want to find the strength of the field, and it should enclose the line charge. Similarly, in electrical law, if I consider a current carrying wire, a current carrying wire will produce a magnetic field. Suppose I want to find the strength of the magnetic field at point, sorry, at point P, which is the distance from R meters from the current carrying conductor. Right? In the case of Gauss's theorem, it is strength of the electric field at point P. In terms of Ampere's second law, at point P, I want to find the strength of the magnetic field. Here it is. You are finding magnetic field, strength of the magnetic field in Gauss's theorem is the strength of the electric field. Right? So now
Ma'am, your voice is
this
breaking.
is breaking.
Ma'am, could you come? You could try coming closer to your device because it's
I'm
like.
just closer. Yes, I'm just closer to my device. Okay, let me.
Ma'am, are you using headphones?
No, I'm not using it.
Ma'am, can you try using your Bluetooth earphones?
No, I just moved.
No, ma'am. Can you try using them?
Okay, okay.
Ma'am, because if you use your laptop mic, sometimes there might be interference of the other, like the
Voices.
maybe voices. Ma'am, but if you use a Bluetooth one, ma'am, your voice will be just,
Okay,
like
okay.
it'll be more clear mostly.
I'll let me check whether I'll be able to come. Now, is it fine what I'm speaking? Are you able to hear now?
Ma'am, it's better than before.
Still have to increase the volume. Is it fine? Boys, is it fine?
Yes, ma'am, it's better than before. We can hear you a little clearly. Ma'am, we'll let you know if it breaks again.
Okay. So suppose if I want to find the strength of the electric field at point P, which is at a, in that case, I have to construct a loop, right? An imaginary loop, and this loop we call it as an Amperian loop. Now this Amperian loop should pass through the point P and should enclose the current carrying wire. Same as Gaussian surface, I have to, and this loop has to pass through the point P where I have to find the, where I need to find the strength of the magnetic field, and at the same time, this loop should enclose the current carrying conductor. Are you clear, boys? So Ampere's circuital law is used to find the strength of the magnetic field at a given point from a current carrying device, same as what you have done in Gauss's law. So there you construct a Gaussian surface, here you are going to construct an Amperian loop. Okay, fine. Now before that, you should know what is Ampere's circuital law, because the problem is understanding Ampere's circuital law will become a problem for you all. What does Ampere's circuital law states? Okay. So the literal meaning of Ampere's circuital law is this. Now in this case, okay, a conductor carrying current, a straight conductor, let us take a straight conductor carrying current. Then I want to find the strength of the magnetic field at point P. I'm constructing an Amperian loop. This imaginary loop is going to trap your magnetic field, because a straight conductor will carry current. A current carrying conductor will produce a magnetic field. Now, if I want to find the strength of the magnetic field at point P, I'm constructing an Amperian loop. Now, this Amperian loop will trap some amount of magnetic field. The magnetic field trapped by the Amperian loop is given by how much amount of magnetic field, or what amount of magnetic field is trapped by the Amperian loop. Sorry, trapped by the loop is given by what we call it as Ampere's circuital law. So this is the literal meaning of Ampere's circuital law. So your Ampere's circuital law gives you an idea how much amount of magnetic field is trapped by the loop which you have constructed, the Amperian loop. So now what does the law state? Now look at the law. It states that the line integral of the magnetic field around any closed path or circuit is equal to mu naught times the total current flowing through the closed circuit. Line integral. What do you mean by line integral? Have you learnt about line integral in mathematics under integration? Surface integral, you know, that is through the entire surface. Now, if I take your Gaussian surface, because it takes time for you to understand this law, if I'm taking your Gaussian surface, right? Now, this Gaussian surface, do you remember? You divide it into a number of smaller element of area ds, boys. When you talk about your Gaussian theorem, you constructed a Gaussian surface where the entire Gaussian surface is divided into a number of smaller elements ds.
Yes, ma'am.
Number of surface. Okay. Then what did you do? You found what is the electric flux. Electric flux means what? The number of field lines, because it has electric field. Electric fields are represented by electric field lines. So the number of field lines passing through each of these surfaces perpendicular to the surface
You have calculated that. So what you have done is, in Gaussian surface, you divided the entire surface into a number of smaller elements ds, and then you calculated the electric flux to each of these surface. The electric flux to surface ds is d phi, right? Then what will be the total electric flux? Total electric flux is, right? You are adding all the d phi, it becomes your total electric flux. This is what you have done in Gaussian theorem. You divided the entire surface, Gaussian surface, into a number of smaller elements of area ds, and you calculated what is the electric flux passing through each of these surfaces, and you found the total flux, right? And from total flux, you calculated what is called your electric field strength. Now, what are you going to do in Ampere circuital law? You have constructed an Amperian loop. You constructed an imaginary Amperian loop. Now you are going to divide this loop into a number of smaller elements dl. Boys, understand this. In Gaussian theorem, you divided the entire surface into a number of smaller surfaces ds. Same way, here you are going to divide the loop into a number of smaller elements dl, right? Right. Now, then you are going to find how much amount of magnetic field is trapped by this small line segment dl. You are going to find, there you found what is the electric flux passing through each of this surface. Here find how much amount of magnetic field is trapped by this element. So magnetic field trapped by this small element. It might trap a very small amount of trapped by dl. Then when you add all the magnetic field trapped by all the dl which you have divided, then that gives you the magnetic field trapped by the entire loop.
Ma'am,
I don't know
dl
how.
is the tangent to the Amperian loop, yeah?
Loop, because when dl is very small, you are dividing this loop into a very small element of length. The entire loop has a length L. That entire length you are dividing it into a very, very small element dl. So if the length is small, at every point the direction will be tangential. Are you clear, boys? The entire length of the loop you are dividing into hundreds of smaller element dl. If the dl is of very small magnitude, then the direction of dl at each and every point will be tangential. So your aim is to find what is the amount of magnetic field that is trapped, because the current carrying conductor is producing a magnetic field. So it is going to be trapped by the entire Amperian loop. Your entire Amperian loop is going to trap the magnetic field. First find what is the magnetic field trapped by this small element dl, and then you find what is the total amount of magnetic field trapped by the entire Amperian loop, and that is given by mu naught into I. So the entire magnetic field trapped by this Amperian loop is equal to I. It depends upon the strength of the current, and it also depends upon the medium between the conductor carrying current and the point where you are finding the strength of the magnetic field. Are you clear, boys? Are you clear? Because it takes time to understand Ampere circuital law. Ampere circuital law is useful in finding the strength of the magnetic field at any given point. If I have a current carrying conductor, it produces a magnetic field. Now at any point P, if I want to find the strength of the magnetic field, then I have to construct an Amperian loop. Boys, the plane of the loop, please understand, the plane of the loop should be perpendicular to the conductor carrying current, right? So your Ampere circuital law gives you an idea how much amount of magnetic field is trapped by this loop. For that, I'm dividing the entire loop into a smaller line segments, dl, dl, and dl, number of such line segments. So my aim is to find what is the magnetic field trapped by this small element dl, and then when I keep on adding, this is going to trap a small amount of magnetic field, say dB, right? Then if I'm adding, sorry, if I'm going to, the current is steady, it's almost constant. Okay. Right. Let me find what is the magnetic field trapped by this small element dl. If I keep on adding all the magnetic field created trapped by all the smaller elements, that gives you the total magnetic field trapped by the loop, and that depends upon the magnetic field trapped by the entire Amperian loop depends upon the strength of the magnetic current flowing through the straight conductor, and depends upon the medium between the straight conductor and the point where you're going to find the strength of the magnetic field. Boys, you have to write the statement. It states that the line integral, this is called the line integral. The line integral of the magnetic field. You can say you're at each and every point, the element dl is tangential, and you know your magnetic field is also tangential. Can you see a straight conductor carrying current? Right hand thumb rule, at each and every point your magnetic field, so your magnetic field also will be tangential. At this point your magnetic field is B vector, at this point it's B vector, at every point your magnetic field is tangential.
Ma'am?
Yes?
Ma'am, is there a derivation for this?
Yes, we have it. Next I have to go for that. Right, boys?
Okay.
Ampere's circuital law, it states that the line integral means what? Yeah, boys, what does this mathematical expression state? This is the line integral of the magnetic field. Now, what does the meaning of this? The meaning of this is the magnetic field trapped by the Amperian loop. Trapped by the loop. That is what the literal meaning, it goes for the literal meaning. Boys, B dot dl, look at this, B dot dl is the magnetic field trapped by, this magnetic field trapped by the element dl. Magnetic field trapped by small element dl. Please understand. B dot dl is the magnetic field trapped by the small element dl. Now, integral for the entire loop, integral B dot dl. So if you add all the magnetic field trapped by individual elements, this is what line integral B dot dl gives you the magnetic field trapped by the entire loop. Please make a note of it. Write the statement, boys. 10 minutes gone for only explaining this. So B dot dl is the magnetic field trapped by the small element dl. Line integral for the entire loop, that is what we call it as line integral. Line integral B dot dl. It is the magnetic field trapped by all the elements, or I can say trapped by the loop, mu naught into I. Is that fine? Now, the video, sorry boys, the audio is clear or still it's breaking up?
No, ma'am, it's clear.
Okay. So, boys, when you are writing, whatever I have written, that is only for your reference. Do you understand, boys? B dot dl is the magnetic field trapped by the element dl. It is only for your reference. Don't write anywhere else. What you need to write is only the statement and the mathematical form. Shall we go for this proof of Amperian law? Shall I go for the proof? Of time. Shall I go for the proof? The law you write. Be a bit fast in writing the law, then we'll go for the proof.
Ma'am, what does it mean that the magnetic field is trapped by the loop?
See, the thing is that your current carrying conductor is going to produce a magnetic field. Is that clear, boys? So,
yes.
How much? What is the strength of the magnetic field at a point P? Say at a point P, which is at a distance of R. So you are constructing a imaginary loop. Now this loop is going to trap. Trap means it is going to enclose. That's what it means. It is going to enclose some amount of magnetic field? See, each loop, if I have a smaller loop, so this is going to enclose some amount of magnetic field. If I take another loop, this is going to enclose some amount of magnetic field. Each loop will trap magnetic field to different extent because the field is not going to be uniform. Is that clear, boys? Will the field is uniform? The field is not uniform, right? As you move away from this, the will decrease. So each and every loop is going to trap some amount of magnetic field. What is the magnetic field trapped by each loop?
So will that be the same as the magnetic field strength at P?
Yeah, yes, that will be the strength of the magnetic field at point P.
Okay, ma'am.
Shall I go for the next one? State and prove Ampere's circuitry law.
Yes, ma'am.
Now look at this. This might also be asked as a question. State and prove Ampere's circuitry law, right? Now, same way, you have a current carrying conductor I. Now, this current carrying conductor I is going to produce a magnetic field. Now, I want to find the magnetic field at point P, which is at a distance of R from the current carrying conductor. Right, boys? So, anyway, if 1 second, boys, I'll take a empty slide. That would be better. You are going to prove Ampere's circuitry law. For that, let me consider a current carrying conductor. Now, at point P, which is at a distance of R from it, I want to find the strength of the magnetic field, right? So, what is according to Biot-Savart law? According to Biot-Savart law, what is the formula for, because we haven't derived that, but still we had the formula for the strength of the magnetic field at point P in accordance to the Biot-Savart law. What is that? B is equal to mu naught I divided by 2 pi R. If the space between the current carrying conductor and the point P is filled with vacuum. So this is according to Biot-Savart law. Now we'll go for Ampere's circuitry law. Now if I want to find the strength of the magnetic field at point P, I have to construct an Amperian loop. Then I have to divide it into a number of elements dl. So this is dl vector, right? Now what will be the direction of the magnetic field? See, if you hold your current carrying conductor in your right hand with thumb stretched along the direction of the field, then your fingers will wrap along the direction of, your fingers will wrap along the direction of the magnetic field. So your magnetic field will also be tangential, boys. Your magnetic field will also be tangential. At every point, your magnetic field will also be tangential because your fingers wrap gives you the direction of the magnetic field, right? So now let me go for this. So what is B dot dl now? So magnetic field, I'll just go for magnetic field trapped by the Amperian loop. Oh, I'm just giving a literal meaning. Trapped by the loop or by the Amperian loop. So this will be your Amperian loop. In that case, it will be line integral. So what is the angle between B and DL? It is B DL cos 0, because B dot DL is B DL cos theta. Theta will be equal to 0. So this B is a constant. Since the current is a constant, B is a constant. So it will be DL. So if I add all the DL, if I'm going to add these DL, so that becomes 2 pi R. Boys, is that not the perimeter of the loop? B into 2 pi R? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Now this will be equation 2. This is according to Ampere's circuitry law. Magnetic field trapped by the loop means what? It is according to Ampere's circuitry law. circuital law. The magnetic field trapped by the entire loop. B vector dot dl vector, which is equal to B dl cos theta. Now theta is 0, tangential to the loop. So when I'm adding all the dls, I should get the perimeter of the loop. Okay, fine. Now next, what will be the, when you equate 1 and 2, what is that you are going to get? What is that you will get, boys? When you equate 1 and 2, equate equation 1 and 2, 12b, equate equation 1 and 2. Austin,
And what is equation 2 again?
equation 2 is line integral B dot dl. So you got this as B into adding all the elements dl. So that gave you the perimeter of the loop 2 pi r. That's the length of the loop.
Okay, ma'am, got it.
So,
Correct?
ma'am,
we
B is
get
the
epsilon
constant,
of
no?
x, ma'am.
Okay, so mu naught I divided by, yes, what happened?
B is the constant, right?
B is a constant.
Ma'am, that's why we bring it outside the integral sign.
Yeah. Because the current is a constant. The current, next chapter you will be studying what happens when the current is not going to be a constant. Here the current is a constant. So I think so it's not equating 1 and 2. It is just substituting 2 in 1. Correct? Is that not
Oh,
substituting
ma'am,
2?
mu 0 I by that is, ma'am, that's the formula of magnetic field?
Magnetic field using your Biot-Savart law.
Ma'am, mu
Substituting
0 I by
2 pi r.
2 pi r.
Okay, just substitute this 1 in 2, boys. Substitute. So what is that? Line integral B dot dl becomes equal to, what was B? Mu naught I by 2 pi r into 2 pi r. Sorry, it's substituting. So both will get cancelled. So what is that? B dot dl vector is equal to mu naught I. Are you not getting this, boys? That
Yes,
is your
ma'am.
this is your Ampere circuital law. This is how you prove. This will be Ampere circuital law. Magnetism is tough, boys. Please take utmost care. So this becomes your Ampere circuital law. Shall I go for the application of Ampere circuital law? Boys, have you completed? Just be a bit fast, boys. I have to start with solenoid. I have to finish toroid. It's fine. Boys, who is taking chemistry period? Some other teacher is taking chemistry.
Ma'am, why?
I thought if no one is taking, I'll take up the class.
Ma'am, no,
Ma'am,
I guess Fazila
if
ma'am is
Fazila
only
ma'am-
taking.
Some other teacher is taking. Okay, fine. So, shall I move, boys? Is that fine? Have you all completed? Please answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, application of Ampere law. Two things are there, boys. In accordance to your syllabus, Biot-Savart law for straight conductor is only formula. For circular loop at the center, for the circular loop at an axial point, you used Biot-Savart law to find the strength of the magnetic field. Now, Ampere circuital law, its statement comes first. Second, we have just completed the proof of Ampere circuital law. Look at the application, two applications for Ampere circuital law. One is for solenoid, the other one will be for toroid. Now, you very well know what is a solenoid, right? An insulated copper wire of many turns wound in the form of a cylinder carrying current. Now, this is what we call it as a solenoid. The magnetic field created by the solenoid is similar to that of your bar magnet. You would have seen in your grade 10. A current carrying solenoid is equivalent to a bar magnet because if you see the magnetic field pattern, it looks like your bar magnet, right? It looks like your bar magnet.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, the question is, your current carrying solenoid produces a magnetic field. Now I want to find what is the strength of the magnetic field along the axis of the solenoid. So it is being seen along the axis of the solenoid, the magnetic field is uniform. Keep this in mind, boys. Along the axis of the field, the magnetic field is uniform. That's why your magnetic field lines are represented by straight and parallel straight lines. So along the axis of the solenoid, the magnetic field is said to be uniform. So I want to find what is the strength of the magnetic field at a point P, which is inside the, what is the strength of the magnetic field at a point P, which is inside the solenoid, or we call this as the core of the solenoid, at the center of the solenoid. For that, I have to construct an Amperian loop. Please understand, I have to construct an Amperian loop. Here, your Amperian loop is not a circular path, say it is a rectangular path. And this Amperian loop has to pass through the point P and has to enclose a part of the current carrying solenoid. Are you clear? Boys, are you clear?
Ma'am, can you repeat how did you construct the loop?
Okay. I have to, it's an imaginary loop, boys. I have to construct a loop, that is, here it is a rectangular loop, and that loop has to pass through the point P, and it should enclose the current carrying loop, so current carrying coil, right? So it might
Ma'am,
is
ma'am, but here it encloses only the upper part of the solenoid.
which one was? Either way I can have. I can have
okay,
the
ma'am.
other way also. Suppose if I want to find at point P, I can go for a loop like this also.
So
We
it
have
needs
just
not,
taken.
it doesn't need to
Yeah.
enclose the whole current carrying conductor.
No.
Okay, ma'am.
We'll see. We'll just take. We'll see why it is so. And now look at the directions of the magnetic field. Okay. Now, can you imagine this diagram? I'll put it this way. This is your solenoid, boys. This is the cross section of the solenoid. Means the other side is. We are not drawing the other side, right? Something like this. But can you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Now, why it's very important? You should know the direction of the magnetic field. So these are each turns of a coil. I'm just taking only one half. If you keep your solenoid like this, I'm just cutting it into two halves. The frontal half I'm just showing. Now let us see how the direction is. Suppose the current is flowing through the loop like this, right? It's a right hand thumb rule, boys. Please understand. This is a circular loop. In a circular loop, if you consider your right hand, all your fingers should curl along or should curve along the direction of the magnetic field. Can you do the direction of the current? Well, this is the current, right? Now, your right hand, you fold your fingers of your right hand. See, how is your current flowing? If I take this way, how is your current flowing, boys? Is it clockwise or anti-clockwise? I'm just taking a single turn. This is the current flowing through a single turn. See, your solenoid has n number of turns. I'm just taking a single turn. How is your current flowing in this single turn? Clockwise or anti-clockwise?
Ma'am, anti-clockwise.
Okay. Your right hand, boys, in your right hand, you curl your fingers. You know what you mean by curly? You just curve your fingers. So all your fingers should be in anti-clockwise direction. Shushal, Jatin. Boys, all your fingers should bend. All your fingers, you close all your fingers in the anti-clockwise direction. Then in which direction will your thumb point? In which direction, Rishit, Samuel?
Ma'am, outward.
In which, towards your right or towards your left?
Ma'am, right.
Right. Okay. Is that only one student doing it up?
Yes, ma'am. It's
Joe
towards.
Paul,
No, it's right. It's
towards your right.
only.
Fine. Steve. Steve. If your current
Yes, ma'am.
is
Yeah.
flowing,
Yeah.
okay. If your current flows in clockwise direction. If your current flows in your clockwise direction, all of you, your right hand, I think your right hand.
Class is over, right?
Clockwise. If you curve your fingers clockwise, not your left hand, use your right hand. Bend all your fingers in the clockwise direction. You know what is clockwise direction? You bend your fingers in the clockwise direction. You know what is anti-clockwise means? How is your the dial of your clock?
And then current will move left if we keep clockwise.
This is correct. This is current. This is current. How is your thumb going to point, boys? You know how the R and the second hands of your clock is moving. You know the R hand
Ma'am,
of your.
so magnetic field will be on the left side.
Yes, your magnetic field. Your thumb will be towards your left. The thumb will be pointing towards your left.
Will be into the plane, right? Won't be into the plane.
No, boys. This is here in this case. Can you see this, boys? Your in each and every turn, your current is flowing anti-clockwise. Then what is your field? Field will be towards, right? So if I draw like this.
Break now, right?
Break. Still time is there, boys.
Ma'am, no, 10:30 to 10:40.
Or 10:35. Boys, please learn this solenoid and come back. Otherwise, should I put a video clipping and then explain? Just tell me so that I'll do that. Visualization. Okay. You can leave.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, boys. Next
Thank
class,
you, ma'am.
please learn and come. Otherwise, it's moving up is very tough for me.